welcome first of all. And Roberto is going to be handing out the confidential information to the audience now that we have the team securely on stage, so that the audience can enjoy the process a little more by understanding the facts that they're playing with. So you have the secret tool to understanding the negotiations that are going to be happening up here. So we're going to give a moment for Roberto to hand this out while we finish doing any last-minute tech check, and then we're going to get started very, very soon. Welcome to our audience, our 18 competing teams who went through a very rigorous process to be here, to be selected for the CPR International Mediation Competition of 2023. My name is Kanar Nahikian. I am one of the co-organizers of this competition this year. My role at CPR is as Director of International Programming, and given the wide range of teams from around the world that we have, it's quite fitting that I was charged to bring the competition today. So I want to welcome not only the teams who are here, the judges, the observers, the volunteers, my organizing committee, but also all of the members who are watching us live right now on Insper's channel on YouTube. So welcome to everyone who's joining us by the internet. I want to just start by taking a quick minute to say that CPR has started this tradition of the mediation competition in 2017 here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. We've been bringing it every year since then, except for during the pandemic. We had to go virtual for a few years, so this is our first year back live in person. We're just thrilled to see your faces. Of course, it's great doing by Zoom to keep the momentum going, but this is 10 times better to see you in person, to hear you, to know you, and it's been such a great experience for all of us getting to know you more personally in this way. So we're so thrilled to be back live in person. I do want to take a minute just to thank a few other people. I want to thank our hosts, Insper, who have given us this beautiful building for the last 3 days. Their resources, their team, I think the students will agree, the facilities were very comfortable, and they welcomed us very, very graciously and generously. So I want to thank Insper. If we want to give a round of applause for Insper, we have Kaio over here who's been helping us with this. Next, I want to thank our sponsors, and this is important because these sponsors make events like this possible. This is an enormous event, and it takes a lot of support, logistic support, financial support, and support of all kinds. So I do want to take a moment to thank, we had a beautiful welcome breakfast on the first day that was brought to us by USC Gould School of Law in California. Then today, after the final round and the ceremony, we will have a very nice, what I anticipate being a very festive and fun cocktail party to close us out, and that is sponsored by Felecki and Asociados and by Machado Mayer. So we're very, very pleased that they were able to do that for us. And we're also sponsored by ICFML, who has agreed to award some prizes at the end, which you'll see is a tuition to one of their programs, and you'll learn more about that at the end. So very, very pleased for our sponsors who made this event possible. In addition to that, we have the sponsors who were Global ADR Champion sponsors for CPR's annual meeting. And part of their contribution to CPR was used for the scholarship fund to allow students to travel and participate in this from all around the world. So I do want to take a minute to mention the Global ADR Champion sponsors of 2023, who are Arnold and Porter, King and Spalding, ConocoPhillips, Microsoft, the Human Energy Company, DLA Piper, White and Case, Debevoise and Plimpton, and Williams and Connolly. So, you know, it's worth taking the time to say this because CPR is a nonprofit organization. We are only as strong as our members' support. So it's very important to acknowledge that support when we get it and to encourage even more support. So thank you to all of those sponsors. And finally, I think everyone who's in this room will know that the organizing committee did a fantastic job. They worked really hard the last few months. We do calls every 2 weeks. We've been working to bring a really great event for you. So I have to mention my co-chair for this event, Diego Feleg. He is a fantastic co-chair and leader. And we also had fantastic members who I think we'll hear a little bit more about later, but I just want to acknowledge really quickly Franco, Julia, Marciali, Luis, Rocio, Bruno, Roberto, who is in charge of not just helping organize, but the problem writing team. And the problem writing team is made of Amanda, Alvaro, Kate, and Kyle. So really, if we could do one more round of applause, they really deserve it. Thank you. So next, I want to acknowledge even the most important people in this room. It's the teams. As I said, we had 18 teams who applied to be here today. They moved mountains to be here. I know for a fact. They had to find sponsors. They had to find support. They had to get approval from their schools. The logistics alone, I'm impressed that they made it here. We had all 18 teams arrive. I was waiting Thursday morning to see if we're going to have anyone missing, but no, everybody came, and you came with good attitude, connecting already in the breakfast, which was so nice to see. So I want to thank everyone on these 18 teams who made the effort to be here and then really gave it their all while they were here. For 3 days, it's been a rigorous schedule of live rounds, qualifying rounds, and you know, also the social networking that happens in between those rounds, which, as we all know as professionals, is very, very important, right? So I want to thank the teams for all of their efforts. They put in a fantastic effort in the rounds that we saw. So just before you joined us here for the finals, we had the semifinals this morning. And I do want to acknowledge the teams that advanced to the semifinal round this morning. The two mediators who were in the semifinal round were from the University of Vienna and the University of Nairobi. The negotiator teams were from Jindal Global Law School, University of Vienna, National Law University Delhi, and American University Washington College of Law. So the toughest part of this competition is always when we have to cut down to the final teams who will be in the final round. But it's really truthful to say that all of the teams have performed remarkably well. I told them this morning, so I'm going to repeat it one more time. The skill level that was on display the last 3 days was like unseen. Even for longtime professionals, these students are absorbing everything. The feedback they got from the judges, even from one round to another, I saw improvements, and I heard during their opening statements or during their remarks, they were incorporating feedback that they had just received in the round before, so they were really, really listening to the judges. And so that brings me to the final group I want to thank. The judges who were here with us the last 3 days have given everything. They've been listening intently, taking pages and pages of notes so that they could give the most significant, helpful feedback possible to the students. And even after the rounds have been done, they've made themselves available between rounds, and I've seen often judges talking further with the students to give more information. So I really want to thank the judges. If we could, just for a quick minute, a round of applause for the judges who are here with us. Okay, so we need to get started, right? I have on stage with me now the final teams who made it to this round. I want to announce the mediator is from University of Nairobi. His name is Lennox Kirianki. Welcome, Lennox. Okay, and the team playing Alisella is the University of Vienna. Playing the role of client is Teresa Sealer. And playing the role of counsel is Lucas Cleveland. Please forgive me if I make a little mistake on the name pronunciation. Okay, it's good. Playing the role of Biglam is Jindal Global Law School. So playing client, we have Kasav Navalari Shankar. And playing the role of counsel is Kevin Kimi Alexander. Welcome. So just as we do in all of the other rounds, I'm going to fade away, and now it will be to the mediator to start the process. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Like I've always said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first single step. And you came here on the first day, really, really aggrieved. And over the days, we have made progress day by day. We have made steps, we have made strides towards reaching a purposeful conclusion when it comes to these. And all I can say is I am really, really delighted to see you all here today on the 5th day after really a lot of back and forth on the first and second day. But you can all agree that that is testament to the benefits of mediation. When it comes to its cost-effective nature, its time-effective nature, and finally, the most important thing, its restorative nature. I see that we are all happy today. We are all at least wearing a smile on this very sunny day, which is another, of course, huge milestone. And it speaks to the fact that we have all made huge progress to be here today. And the restorative nature of mediation is at play. Before I go deeper into it, I see you are all really raring to go. And I think it's very prudent that we start with a quick round of introductions so that we get to know who is who on the table today. And of course, confirm that we have full authority to settle, that none of the board members filed a vote of no confidence over the way. Nobody was served somewhere along the way, and we are here to counter-serve. So please, a quick round of introductions would be in order.
Yes, I'm Jaima, the CEO of Alisella. Unfortunately, I'm still that, and I have full authority to settle today.
Thank you, Jay. My name is Kanye South, and I am the counsel of Alisella.
Well, at the risk of not sounding like James Bond, as you may know, Jay, my name is K. Karmash, but I think all of us are on a first-name basis here. You feel free to call me K. Thank you so much. I'm joined here today by my counsel, Kevin.
Hi, so my name is Dr. M. Matt, but my friends call me Kevin, and I'm sure you guys have gotten comfortable calling me Kevin over the past few sessions. So feel free to call me Kevin today as well.
Thank you so much. As always, I am your musician on the table, and feel free to call me Swift. And now, swiftly into it, talking about the song that I've been singing for the last 4 days, and now we're on to the 5th day. On to the elements and principles of mediation that are going to guide us over the course of our process today. Talk about the confidentiality aspect of it, in that nothing that we say here can be used against us anywhere outside the 4 walls of this room. Okay, make it 5 today, it's a little bit oblong. And after all this is said and done, none of us can be called as an expert witness in a court of law at all. So it's a safe space. Open your heart out, draw in the information, draw in all those brilliant CEO ideas, and let us get to work with them. In that light, I also do wish to remind you that it is a voluntary process. None of us was coerced to be here. We came here out of our own volition. Madam CEO, is that true?
Of course.
Aha, thank you so much. Is that the same from your side?
100%.
Thank you. That literally confirms onto the voluntary nature of this mediation. And talking about volunteerism, just remind the councils, my learned friends, remember that this is a party-driven process. Like it has been for the last 4 days, let us give our clients an opportunity to raise their interest, to raise their concerns when it comes to this table. However, that does not mean that you cannot come in and give your advice, as has always been. So please feel free to do so when it's appropriate. They say that teamwork makes the dream work. And you have really given me a lot of dreams when it comes to the Whistle platform. I have heard you talk about restoring it to its glory and making it better than it already is. But for that to happen, we all must work together. They say that you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And I'm inviting us all to be collaborative today as we work towards making sure that everything is in order. In line with that, yesterday we had a really fruitful discussion where we agreed that all the data issues are resolved. There's nothing pending, I believe. We passed that across yesterday. And we decided that we are going only to work on the improvements and to make sure that the data security technology is really up to date so that we won't have any other complaints on the data mining, which was really prevalent during the third day. And secondly, we also agreed that none of the data would be used without the approval of both parties. Again, party-driven process, right? The approval of both parties. And finally, no updates. The update for selling the different services on the Whistle platform was not approved. And you guys decided that today we are going to be discussing the revenue splitting and ways of getting more revenue to the platform. I have heard around that there's something about a new influencer. I think you are going to tell me more about it. And also the idea of future partnerships, I believe, and something regarding 500 million Dragon dollars. I think when we talk of these amounts, sometimes I really feel like I should get into it. But quickly, as we sum it all up, just as has always been, should any party feel that they would love to, like to talk to me personally without the other party being on table, you can confidently call for a private caucus or a private session. That is not to speak to my lack of neutrality or impartiality at all, but just rather so as we can get into the flesh of it, so that we can dig into what really is the issue at hand. And to sum it all up, as you go into it, should you feel that you want to take a break, raise it up with me. That is why I'm here. And finally, as I throw the ball back to your court, remember that there's a lot of cultural diversity across the table. And please, in case you don't hear anything from the other side, or in case you need clarification in that regard, feel free to reach out. That is why I'm here. Ask for clarification. Use me. Talking about using me, my work here is only to facilitate and to allow you go ahead, get into it, and determine what works best for you. And I can't stress on that more. I am here just to sit back and watch you do it, to facilitate, to give you the roadmap. And roadmap. As you've always done it, opening statements, setting the agenda, and negotiation. But these are things that you already know. So I'll just touch it off and allow you to start. Would it be agreeable with the responding party if the requesting party was to start?
Of course, I would love to hear you, Jay, as I suppose that Taylor has said.
Thank you. Jay, take it away.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that you're free for us for another session and that you're guiding us through one more session. And thank you to the two of you for actually continuing this process of an honest and open communication that we had already in the past days. And I'm really looking forward to continuing this today. I briefly want to give you my perspective on things. Going into this whole thing of mediation, tensions were extremely high. I mean, we felt under immense pressure, and we really felt like this couldn't go on as it was. I personally vouched again and again to my board that we could turn this ship around, you know? And I'm really confident to say that we finally did that. We left those storms of like back and forth allegations and this really unworry situation, and we're finally in calmer waters. And I feel like in our last session, we tackled some of the aspects that were really important to us. And I feel it was really productive, and I'm excited to move on with that. I believe that now in this session, it is time to set our sails so we can ensure a smooth ride through 2023 and above. So what do we want to talk about today? The first aspect that we would like to talk about today is growth strategy. Yes, our revenue numbers are not what they were in the first year, and unfortunately, they are declining. So we feel that it is of utmost importance that we use the session today to put our heads together, come up with lots of ideas that ensure that we sales performances can actually rise again, can actually get back to that level of skyrocketing, of being a market leader. So we want to talk about concrete steps that we can take in that area. Last session, we tackled the aspect of data protection security. We feel that that is an invaluable asset that we now need to use. So we want to talk about targeted ads. We feel that if we increase the ads on BGLAM, we can actually drive sales on WeSell. So we're looking forward to hearing what you say regarding that and under what circumstances that could happen. Another aspect is the revenue sharing split. We had our fair share of revenue sharing splits in the past weeks, starting out from 50-50, then 55-45 to one mediation session. Then we brought in Ticketer and had a 50-40-10 split. And now it's the time to tackle that aspect. I mean, as we are all aware, Ticketer approached us saying that they want to sell their split. And we want to find out what your thoughts are on that, and if you would be willing to kind of go into that direction together, and then if we decided, how we can split that part up. And then on the other side, talk about our splits. We've heard your concerns about them needing to ensure a certain sense of fairness and show how much effort we all put in there, and we want to explore that area. I think that if we use our session today really productively and come up with various aspects of how to increase WeSell's platform, we can once more be the trailblazers and make WeSell skyrocket again. Lucas, could you maybe elaborate on our legal aspects a bit?
Yes, thank you, Jay. Mr. Swift, Kevin, Kay, it is my great pleasure again to greet you back at the negotiation table. We have made remarkable progress. Me and my client are really happy about and appreciate the course of action we have taken concerning the data use of the WeSell platform. And I am therefore thrilled to be part of this mediation forum once again as we delve deeper into the world of online business. Now, we must not remain idle now. This may mean that the revenue goals of WeSell slip through our fingers. So let's be bold and seize every opportunity we can get to bring your business back on track, as the future depends on it. My client acknowledges that mindless ad flooding of the platform may annoy the users. So we will take the time and talk about it a little bit to maybe alleviate your concerns or fears about it, and move then on to finding an objective criteria concerning the revenue split of the WeSell platform. Those are grand perspectives. But it is with great concern that we have to bring to your attention the activities of the influencer Aries Pequeño and the implications this may have on the legal and financial situation of the business, and may put it in a precarious state. One last thing that we would need to tackle is the sale of the Ticker shares. Ticker is willing to get out of the business and is therefore putting its sales for shares. I am guessing, and I am actually hoping, that you are as eager as my clients to get your claws back again on the shares. So, to put it in the words of Bill Gates, the internet is like a tidal wave. It changes the rules, and only he who learns how to swim will prevail. But fear not, we will continue to surf on the wave of the internet. And with that, I want to hand over the word to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. J and Dr. K. I hear you all to be talking about, Mr. J, you have raised an issue when it comes to the growth strategy. Secondly, about a revenue sharing split that you'd love to explore that direction. In addition, you have raised something about these influencer, Aries Pequeño, I believe that is it. Yes. And finally, the sale of the Ticker shares. Is that all? Is there something I've left out?
Exactly, yes.
Thank you so much. So many words have been hurled in, but in the words of the mediator, we now cross over to the other side for the opening statements. Mr. Kamash.
Well, before I go ahead, Mr. Taylor, it's been great seeing you at every session that we have had, always helping us, always pushing us to try not just for a settlement, but to talk. And I do think that cross-cultural differences do play a huge role. And I must say, danke to both of you, and asante to you, Taylor. But what I really want to emphasize here today, and that echoes with what you said, Kay, there is a lot of noise outside this room, lot of rumors, and lot of gossip. And I'm glad that we're here today and communicating to each other and building that trust. And I do believe that we do have a space where we can share our concerns, especially in this trust that we've built, not just when we met over wine, but over these sessions. But moving beyond that, I think of it as, when you talk about a journey, I think of it, we were in a hurdle race. We overcame every obstacle, the obstacle of data, the obstacle of your former employee, the obstacle of numerous, and I can't even mention all of them today. But it's not just the hurdle space. I think of this race as a journey. And I'm glad we can make those steps here today. And I think, as you mentioned, the very first step we have to take is not to just stay still. The internet is dynamic, and we must move to this dynamic. When I met you first, Kay, this was our forecast. And I'm sad to say that this is reducing. But the opportunity we have today to make sure that it goes upwards, and I want us to move upwards, especially in this forecast, especially in what we can do here today. And I love the idea of growth strategy, and perhaps we have a variety of options that we can brainstorm. We can move towards monetizing our various tools here today, increasing our targeted ads, and of course, address concerns regarding the same. Perhaps moving forward, we can also look into making VSEL more an affordable option for us, which by in turn increases and maximizes our revenue. But I do believe when we also talk about revenue, we also have to think of an objective criterion. I think that's very important for us, let us do, because we have a lot of things on what we think about in terms of revenue, but if we have a set of tools in how we can rather navigate in revenue, I think it would be a great way how we can steer a ship forward, especially not just in terms of revenue, not just in terms of other things. I do believe there is an elephant in the room, and you probably feel that if I was in your shoe, I would feel like my trust was lost. But I want to assure you that we want to handle the situation with you. We want to make sure that influencers work with us for our benefit, and we want to share your concerns and provide you solutions that help our baby, WeSell, go forward. At this point in time, I do have a tendency to keep talking, so I'm just going to give it over to Kevin, and he can rather elaborate on the legal aspect of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karmash. So obviously, before I get into what my opening remarks would be and kind of thanking Dr. South for being here and doing a wonderful job of keeping me on my toes, the first and perhaps the most funny and most important person in this session, I think, Taylor, you've done a wonderful job so far. I must be honest with you, when Karmash came to me and said, perhaps I'm not too certain about this mediation process, and then we found out you're the mediator handling this, I said, rest easy. You're in great hands, not to worry. And you have proven that to us over the last 4 sessions. I do believe both parties have made strides towards achieving their common goals over the past 4 sessions. But you facilitated that conversations, and I truly appreciate that. Beyond that, thank you, Jay. Thank you, Dr. South, for being here once again. I would love to see you guys consistently now, because I think this has become a day-to-day thing. But we are making progress, and I think just to build on what Taylor said and what I think Karmash referred to as well, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and we have taken more than a few single steps over the last few days. In fact, when Karmash spoke to me about this journey, I think the first step was taken was in 2020, when you both sat down together and came up with the idea of WeSell, what he refers to as his baby, or his wife says, this 3rd child. But being more serious about these things, I think initially when you guys sat down, your goals, your prerogatives were to become a global brand, a global entity, make the pie bigger, and everyone gets a big slice, essentially. But that being said, I think I also need to kind of mention that there are some cultural differences which I know you're aware of, but I'm going to put it out again just so that we have an open channel of communication. English is not our native language, so we might struggle a little bit here and there, but please clarify if you're not certain of what we are saying. Beyond that, I'm just going to emulate what he said and say danke and asante if I'm not wrong. And also, being in Brazil, I've also learned obrigado. So thank you for being here for that as well. Beyond that, let's talk numbers. I know I don't want to use this mediation table as a springboard for legal jargon. However, numbers are intrinsic to the revenues and to anything regarding business. And the favorite number that I think Mr. J and Karmash will agree upon was in the first quarter of 2022, you guys made $1.4 billion Dragon dollars, which is more than the Avengers movies combined. So that's saying something in terms of how much you're making. But beyond that, unfortunately, like Karmash pointed out, the predictions of how much you'd be making was a mere $660 million in the second quarter of 2023. And that number has dropped further to merely $500 million. Our revenue splits were bigger than the numbers we're expecting these days. But nonetheless, fear not. Like Dr. South said, let's seize the day, carpe diem, something I'm sure we emulated in law school when we were a little younger. But beyond that, I think Karmash has laid out his interests very specifically. And so perhaps the discussion points that we'd like to look in today, keeping in mind what you mentioned as well, is first we would like to discuss how we can generate more revenue, right? We can get WeSell to be on a bigger platform. The second one is, very logically, how is the best way to run a business? When prices go up, you cut costs. So we're going to figure out a way to make WeSell more cost effective. So that would be the second discussion point that we'd hope to get into. And thirdly, a fan favorite, obviously, at this mediation has been the revenue share or the revenue split. So let's save the best for the last, because I think this is perhaps the best way to trickle down into the exact division of numbers. But we hear you, and I would like to remind everyone here that we're not here to solve your problems or my problems. We're here to solve our problems. So keeping that in mind, I hand it back to you, Swift.
Thank you so much. Just to buttress what was put lastly by Kevin, it is us against the problem and not us against each other. And what I would hear from your side is that you're really interested when it comes to generating more revenue. You are looking for to explore more revenue income generating mechanisms. Secondly, you raised the issue on making Whistle more cost effective. And finally, on the revenue sharing, which you said was the elephant in the room. But allow me. At this point, I believe what we can hear from both sides. Pardon, my handwriting was supposed to be a doctor, but somewhere along the way became a mediator.
You're excused.
So from Alicel, we heard about the growth strategy. You also raised an issue regarding the revenue sharing split. In addition, there was something regarding
The Pyramid Pirates incident.
the influencer.
Right.
There's also something on the lines of the ticker shares, if my math serves me right. And finally, something regarding targeted ads. Targeted ads?
Yeah, I believe the targeted ads are actually part of the growth strategy. So
okay.
that's part of that.
Thank you. And on the other side, I heard you mention very specifically generating more revenue. You also mentioned something on the lines of making Whistle more cost effective. And finally, you mentioned something around the revenue share. Okay, so lady and gentlemen, this is what you've brought on the table. Perhaps if there's anything you'd love to add?
Taylor, I do believe that we are in paucity of time today. Would it be all right if you could possibly just find a middle ground of both of this and we could just hit it right away? And the visible middle ground I'm hearing you is that we can talk about generating more revenue in this growth strategy and possibly also including the cost-effective solution. How does that sound to you?
In general, that sounds great. One aspect that we might maybe want to cover before we move into the discussion of growth would be we have some clarification questions regarding the influencer. So if it would be all right for you, we would quickly cover that topic and then move into how we can ensure growth for resale and then maybe even the cost efficiency, which I believe is part of that, and then move into the revenue sharing. How does that sound for you?
I think that sounds fantastic. Possibly we could just have some perspectives on what has been happening outside this room, then dive into the idea of how we can increase revenue.
Precisely. So, like I said, it is a process, and what I can gather from you all is that you've agreed on, first of all, dealing with the issue on the influencer and clearing the air. Secondly, I hear you to say that you'd love to discuss the issue on the growth strategy, where you'd discuss generating more revenue and the cost-effective nature of Whistle.
You could just add that both saying growth revenue.
Oh. Is that agreeable to you?
Perfectly fine.
And finally, revenue sharing.
Mr. Taylor, just a quick question.
Perhaps.
We do believe that to make sure we're on the same page, the idea of rather making VSEL a cost-effective solution could be included in growth revenue, because as I do believe that this is a flexible process and it's not strict, so we can rather move around certain items. I hope that's okay with you.
That's perfectly fine. And I mean, I personally see cost efficiency as part of the growth revenue, yeah. As
Okay.
well as also Ticketer is, as far as I'm concerned, part of the
Revenue
revenue
sharing.
sharing. Yeah.
Sorry. So Tika is part of the revenue sharing and cost-effective under growth revenue. Is that it?
Yeah.
Thank you. That is cost-effective. And Tika, I believe that serves your purpose perfectly.
Well,
All right.
Mr. Taylor, I do want to hear you, Jay. At the outset, I think if we can start this forward, could you possibly let us know what are these concerns and what are these rumors that you're hearing so that we can provide clarity to you?
Of course. So, I mean, starting into this, we haven't had a lot of luck with influencers in the past. They're coming up and again and again. What we know is there was this scandal, and you made the public statement saying that you were terminating the partnership. We wanted to get a better understanding of what the status quo is. Are there some kind of are you kind of looking more into that? Is the partnership terminated forever, or is there still the possibility to go back into the partnership? We want to understand what the status quo is there.
So I'm hearing a lot of questions. Perhaps we could tackle this one by one. What is the first thing that you would like me to address?
What is the status quo for BGLAM regarding the partnership with the influencer?
Sure. So as you might have noticed in papers and media, we did declare a public announcement terminating our partnership with such a preposterous person as Aries. And I could give you a bunch of reasons to why this could have happened. But to be honest, I want to apologize. I want to say sorry and to really sink in that we were unsure and couldn't believe that Aries could turn like this, that we could have a Ponzi scheme within our influencers that helping our baby we sell. And to take this forward, we're actually more open to ideas in how we can tackle this together. I hope that addresses your concern.
Jay, if I may. Since we've only heard rumors and you were mentioning the Ponzi scheme and they came up in the rumors, would you care to elaborate on how much insight you have on if these rumors are true or not? Do you know that? Because the investigation is still ongoing.
Do you mind if I take that one for
Of
you?
course.
So, South, I completely understand where you're coming from. You're trying to protect your client's interests. Keeping in mind that if this influencer had done what he had done and the Ponzi scheme is out there, it affects we sell, and we sell affects both our parties. So I think what Karmash is trying to say is that as soon as we found light and certain evidence of such allegations, they immediately terminated that partnership. We understand that the investigation perhaps might be ongoing. However, there is sufficient evidence of the same. And I'm not going to go back and discuss the bad pill incident because we know how that worked out. And perhaps we sat too long on that issue. We remained idle, like you said. So what Karmash decided to do was take action, to seize the opportunity, to right the wrong. And I think that's where he's coming from. But Karmash, if you'd like to add on to that.
Yeah, the reason I wanted to start with an apology is that I've been in your shoes, and trust me, I know how it feels. That's why I want to reassure you. We're doing all that we can to tackle this. But to be honest, there's nothing material has been done. There are just rumors, and we still, at this point, especially the Summerfield's prosecution office is trying to find this out. But the reason that I wanted to actually talk about revenue is that we do have a variety of options to offset this, and we have numerous collaborations that we want to talk about. At this point in time, could you perhaps tell if there are any other concerns that you might have?
Before we tackle that, just a quick clarification, because I now have conflicting information, because your lawyer just said that you have certain insights and certain evidence that these rumors might be true, and now you said it's rumors. Which one of it is it now?
Okay, just to make sure we're on the same page, I think Taylor
Thank
could
you.
also summarize that as first does. So there are rumors, and we're trying to find out what these rumors are. That's essentially it.
Perfect. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you for the apology. I really appreciate it. I personally didn't feel it was necessary because, I mean, BGLAM is an enormous social media platform and mistakes happen. The thing that really did concern us was the fact that the partnership was terminated, and we know that the influencer was responsible for up to 24% of the sales. So we know that in general, you can't know everything about any influencer that you sponsor. but I do appreciate the apology. One more clarification question is, before the incident, did you have any indications that there was this kind of Ponzi scheme going on the platform? Or did you have were any concerns raised before you found out?
Perhaps now that there are so many clarification questions on the table, I will try to lighten it up a bit.
Mr. Taylor, if you could possibly address that one by one so we know what clarification are the ties up to the question.
Yeah, precisely. From their side, from Alicel, they have asked about, they're concerned when it comes to the issue of the influencer. I understand that his name is Andreas, because from their side, they feel that it contributes a lot to the Whistle platform and your partnership to a tune of, I think you mentioned 24% of sales. And secondly, they're also seeking clarification on whether there were any indications prior to these old Ponzi scheme, I think I've had like that, coming up, whether there was really anything in that light before it came up.
Thank you.
And on your side, they were requesting that you clarify on this scandal and how it really happened per se. When it comes to, you raised the issue on Mr. Kamash, when you raised the issue on how you wanted to address these and the apology per se, and that is why they were requesting for that.
Perhaps if it would make you more at ease, we could perhaps put together a team and rather help us what if this is a Ponzi scheme or not, or what was really happening. Would that be rather be helping ease your stance in this?
I see that's an interesting option. I, however, have full confidence in the authorities of Sommerfeld that they will look into that. I'd rather, now that we know what kind of went on, would want to look into the future and look into how we can prevent that. There, a team would be great that monitor the system, but I think we can talk about that later. Maybe, Mr. Mediator, you could write down that option of having a committee to prevent such schemes from happening again. My clarification question from earlier that I would appreciate being answered is, did you know before the incidents, were there any indications that it was happening?
Well, I'm afraid we didn't have any indications, but I think it is an opportunity in this problem. I think what we have to do is what we wanted to solve this is that to make sure this doesn't happen again, is to have, especially the committee that you mentioned, we can put together a team, a security team that rather looks into if there are any going to be possible indicators and, of course, our trust in our authorities. Kevin, could you possibly just elaborate on this?
I think, Kevin, before you go, a question that was raised by the other side, when it comes to the issue of the whole Roma situation, and whether or not really there's substantive evidence on the same, I believe Dr. K has raised that you'd really love if you'd also respond to that.
So I was actually just going to address that query and kind of tie in it with the solution of what we were discussing. So primarily, there were rumors, and I think the way rumors work in general parlance is they could be either true or false. And what usually defines whether they're true or false is an investigation. Like Jay pointed out, and I think Karmash pointed this out as well, the prosecution office in Sommerfeld is looking into the matter. And you are right. They are right to pursue criminal interests and criminal intentions and all of that. But I think what Karmash was suggesting was perhaps not looking at it from a criminal perspective. He was saying, why wait to fix the problem after it happens when we can jump ahead of it? So now we've got two incidents with influencers, A being Bad Pill, and now with this. Even if these rumors are false, they are affecting our revenue, and it does account for 24% of the company's revenue, like you said. So perhaps a stopgap measure to prevent this from ever happening again is create a committee of monitoring, a committee of compliances within the system, a committee of security perhaps, to ensure that such incidents do not happen anymore. But Karmash, you had to elaborate a little bit more on this, I think.
I think it just goes in hand what rather Jay was trying to tell. Could you perhaps tell what other issues that you want this committee of security to rather address?
Can we very quickly just put that on hold, like for 1 second, one last short question?
Sure. What happened?
Only nothing happened, be assured, fear not. What if the best thing happens and those rumors turn out to be untrue? Could you imagine reinstating the influencer since they are responsible for 24% of the business, and that's a quite substantial amount?
So I'm going to jump ahead on that one as well, because this is a discussion that me and Karmash did have in confidence before this, because after all, I am his lawyer. He does pay me quite well. So the discussion we had was, obviously an innocent man should not be penalized excessively, but keeping in mind that, like you said, our profit margins are dropping. And right now, given this, the reason that we're at this mediation itself and all the public perceptions that surrounded it, and that is deteriorating. So it was important that we took a stopgap measure and kind of preempted further deterioration of public perception, because bad publicity means bad profit margins. And already our quarter expectations have gone down by almost $160 million, Dragon dollars. So I think, Karmash, you also had a solution to this very problem.
Yeah, and I hear you saying that you want to rather offset this revenue, and we want to explore this option. Possibly right now, could we focus on how do we tackle this influence situation? Possibly we can get back and brainstorm on how we can offset this revenue. How does that sound to both of you?
That sounds great. I feel like my open questions regarding the incident have been addressed, and I think we have a great option on the table already that we might even tackle a bit more later. And I do feel like now is a good moment to move kind of forward to the aspect of revenue sharing. Would that be all right for you?
Before we go ahead, considering that we do have a pressing concern in our hands, does this mean that you're agreeing to, in principle, to our solution? I mean, not just mine, but our solution to the Committee of Security?
If I may sum up, what you just said is that you're pretty negative about the perspective of the influencer and that it cannot be reinstated. So I think we go with your prognosis. Am I right about that?
Now knowing that that is probably unlikely, I think, and in general, a committee like that could certainly be something that we do. I would really appreciate if there could be, if there could work on certain procedures on how sellers on the platform are verified. I mean, that's extremely hard because we have so many, but I do feel that with some kind of regulations or some kind of checks and balances, we could ensure that something like this doesn't happen again. And I would very much appreciate it if a committee like that would be set up actually within WeSell. And yes, they can investigate the past incidents, but then really focus on how to move on.
And I think I put you on hold on your issue, and I would encourage you to address it now again.
Well, I'm glad that we're brainstorming here. But considering that I do believe we do not have enough expertise on how we can go about this, perhaps we can take it as homework, you know? Take it back to our houses, back from where we are, flesh out on how these looks like. But just I think in terms of principle, what I'm hearing is that, number one, we do have a Committee of Security, not just in terms of finding out the past incidents, but the process of verification. And secondly, to rather developing a regulation. Kevin, did I get that right in the legal sense as well?
I think that is fairly accurate, but just to kind of flesh it out a little more. I understand what you mentioned, Mr. J, with regard to verification, how that would work. Keeping in mind that WeSell is going global and is in quite a few different countries right now. Different jurisdictions have different requirements. So I would be glad to make sure that my team and I sit down and we send you a draft on the legal end of it at least to Dr. South, and I'm sure he will wet the same. Is that all right?
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
So,
Just to read it, that sounds great, and I do feel it tackles kind of the aspect of how we can ensure the sales we currently have kind of stabilize and that we can count them down to continue and that we won't lose more revenue in the future. And I appreciate your proposal with the committee, and we can agree on that in principle and work out the fine details later.
Precisely. So from where I sit, it is, to my understanding, from what I have heard from both of you, that the issue on the influencer should be left pending, at least. It is agreed in principle that we'll have the committee to look into the matter and still at the same time let the police do their job. Is that where we are at?
I think that sounds fantastic, but Mr. Taylor, if you could just add, considering that we are in a paucity of time, could we get timestamps every 30 minutes so we know how much time do we have left?
Precisely, and as it stands, we have 45 minutes left.
Okay, thank you so much. At this point, is there anything that I...
Yes, that is...
Oh, sorry,
correct.
just a minute before you go on, Mr.
Sure.
Kamash. I believe we can say that this is done with the committee. So it is still in the parking lot and we have homework to do. Moving on swiftly, Mr. Kamash, back to you.
If you could perhaps also let us know at the end of the session what this homework is so we could get those nitty-gritty, that would be really helpful.
Definitely, and thank you for giving us the first one.
Sorry, I don't want to be a bad teacher. But moving on, the one important thing that we wanted to address is this idea of the growth strategy. How do we maximize revenue? And we are hearing not just rumors, but rather interest that Alicel A might be developing something that's innovative that could help VSEL. And we want to hear more on this. Could you perhaps just tell us more and shed us light?
Yes, that is actually a topic I'm super excited about, and I'm excited that you already heard about that. Maybe before we dive into that, I quickly want to emphasize how important it is that we ensure growth of VSEL. It's not just out of pure greed, but it is important that all those projects we're working on can actually continue developing. And so the financial stability of the endeavor is of utmost importance to us.
I hear you.
But regarding the thing that was developed, so our team at Alicel A actually developed a quite interesting technology. And we believe that this technology could be kind of like a missing puzzle for VSEL to drive ourselves forward. The technology is an artificially controlled tool where via voice control, users can edit videos, photos, add filters and everything. And with those voice-controlled edited content bits, they can then promote the activities they sell on VSEL or the products they sell on VSEL. So imagine you want to sell something on VSEL, you have lots of videos on your phone, and via voice control, those videos will be edited. This is a technology that currently in that form does not exist. And we are so excited at Alicel about it because we feel like this could once again kind of make sure that VSEL is the trailblazer in the industry again. However, that is, of course, of immense value to us, and there are certain things that would need to happen for us to kind of use that technology for VSEL. But that's kind of it. Does that answer your question that you were having?
Yeah, that's actually an excellent idea, and congratulations for figuring that out. I don't know how you do it, but Jay, you always impress me when it comes to things like this. I have a certain questions, if you're open to answering, regarding this idea.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. The first thing that I wanted to address is that this state-of-the-art tool that you talk about, are you implementing it only on VSEL, or are you also open to implementing on different platforms? Because as I do hear, Alicel has multiple tie-ups as well, right? So I just want to understand what is the status quo with regard to this application of this tool?
Am I understanding you correctly that you're asking of whether we would implement technology only with VSEL or also with our main channels or even third parties? Is that what you're asking?
I think it's more on the idea of this tool that you have. Is it applied uniformly to all the partnerships Alicel A, or are you planning to implement this to VSEL?
Okay, thank you for the clarification. So we haven't concretely committed to where we will implement that, but as we're 100% committed to ensuring that VSEL thrives again, we would firstly try to do it with VSEL. However, there is also the option that we would license that technology to other third parties, which then could again be an additional stream of income. So this is kind of the status where we're at. What do you think about that?
Well, I think when we talk about businesses, what reminds me is the idea of a first mover advantage. I think what you have right now is excellent, and I think at a point in time, let's just say for the amount of a year, we could just use this for VSEL, and we could see, then you could go ahead with the idea of licensing. Kevin, do you want anything to add?
Yes, I do actually. I think, first of all, wonderful on the technology. Clearly sounds state of the art, if I might say so myself. That being said, I think the main prerogative in the beginning of this discussion was maximizing revenue for VSEL, which in turn would maximize revenues sharing for VSEL as well. BGLAM as well as Alicel A. Keeping that in mind, we understand this technology has the potential to increase revenue substantively. And that is exactly what we need given our current predictions and forecasts. So what we were hoping with kind of ties up with the licensing word you used. It is a little bit of a legal thing, but just to quickly make it simple, because I don't want to make this mediation all about legal jargon, perhaps give us exclusive rights to license this state-of-the-art technology you have, the AI, solely for BGLAM. Because what we do believe is that if BGLAM has access to this, because a lot of WeSell's portfolios and profiles are all people who've used BGLAM. They're all social profiles from BGLAM. And BGLAM is the bigger entity. So perhaps if you could have it exclusively on BGLAM for a period of, let's say, 12 months, I think is what Karmash had suggested.
Well, I like to think of it as VSell than BGLAM or AliSale. Perhaps, as I said, right, there are a lot of competitors. And for us to maximize, especially in terms of growth strategy, this could be an excellent strategy for the both of us. How does that sound to you, Jay?
I think, Jay, before you go, just to make sure that you're on the same page all here, Kamash, am I understanding you to say that you're proposing these brilliant ideas that has been put forth on the table, that it becomes agreeable only to WeSell and usable only to WeSell for a period of an year or something?
Well, that seems a bit curt, but what I was really looking at is just that how we can incorporate this idea and try it out at VSell, and we are more than happy to assist you in licensing to other parties.
Just quickly adding on to that, beyond the fact that it's also going to be applied to WeSell, we would also like to prioritize it on BGLAM, because we do believe they're interlinked, and BGLAM has such a wide user interface that any and all traffic from there could be converted to WeSell, which is the primary prerogative. So that 1-year exclusive license would apply to our joint ventures as well as us as individual entities, which means BGLAM, WeSell, and AliSell A will all make more cash.
Perhaps you'd love to respond to that.
That was quite a lot. Do you have a clarifying question for
Yes,
them?
a small clarifying question. Since, of course, you two are friends, but BGLAM is still a profit-oriented enterprise, and I reckon that you wouldn't help licensing it out for free.
Could you repeat that?
BGLAM is a profit-oriented enterprise, and
I think that was classic lawyers, that he heard some help there for free and he wanted to get a guarantee on that because you proposed that. But
what I'm trying to ask is, what do you want in return for helping AliSeller licensing out the technology after the 1 year you proposed?
maybe that's a good point for the interesting of the exclusivity, the proposal of the exclusivity clause is interesting. And I think that's definitely something we can talk about. There are two aspects that come to my mind when I hear you talking about that. Number one, we believe that this voice editing feature would work best if it promotes products like experiences. In our last session, we actually put a halt on the update of the BGLAM app with regards to also introducing experiences as a product, or yeah. So if we were to provide WeSell with our technology for an exclusive period of time, that would also mean that on the one side, it would need that update for the experiences. And on the other side, there are some aspects that we also want to, but maybe you want to state what you think about that and what the status with the updates in regards to the experiences is right now.
I think that sounds fantastic, because this is exactly what we wanted to offer as well. And we want to ask you, because when I'm sorry, I might be going a bit before the agenda. At a point in time, Ticker is leaving AliSale. That leaves a huge gap for us to monetize the idea of experiences. I think at a point in time where AliSale we could monetize experience and increase revenue for the both of us. So what I'm hearing is that we update the app to include not just the monetization of this recommendation, but rather the state-of-the-art AI tool coupled in this update. Is that what is this? Am I on the right page, Kevin?
So I think that is kind of similar along the lines of what they were proposing. But beyond that, I love your question, Dr. South, which is, what are you giving us? We're giving you the spirit of collaboration, which is what this mediation is about. Because when WeSell is profitable, so are both of us. And I would hope that perhaps something you've heard quite a bit in law school as well is quid pro quo. And to use the words of mediator himself was, you scratch my back, I will scratch yours. So that is essentially what we'd be doing with this product. And I think kind of building on that exact analogy and kind of furthering the experience that could be solidated is keeping in mind that ticker is leaving, like Harmash mentioned. There is a void in the market, a void that we could fill, a void that would increase our revenue, which is our bottom baseline prerogative. So perhaps we should focus on that. And I think, Harmash, you just want to speak about the experience in itself, or do you want to wait till we hear from them?
To be honest, I just want to hear more from them.
Of course. So that sounds great, and I'm really excited about kind of the commitment I'm already sensing here that we are about to introduce the feature of the experiences as a product on WeSell. Yeah, I think that sounds great, and if we have that kind of on the one side, that could definitely be then the reason why we introduced the voice-controlled content editing feature.
Yeah.
If we are, however, because as you know, that's quite the technology we have at our hands there, and an exclusivity clause for a year, while it of course might benefit WeSell, at the same time it means that we lose revenue from licensing it to third parties. So we are willing to still do that because with our whole heart, we believe that WeSell needs to strive. But on the other side, I'm asking you, if I'm putting in the technology, what can you do to ensure that also the ads are, that the platform is striving? And I'm talking here about the ads, as you hear. We actually believe that because we solved the issue of data in the last session, now is the time to increase ads, targeted ads on the platform. We've heard in the past that you have been kind of not too excited about that idea, so I would really appreciate you kind of explaining a bit more what your stance is on increasing the ads on BGLAM.
Well, I do think we're getting ahead of ourselves here. I think it's better for us to just tackle this one time at a time. Mr. Taylor, could you probably just summarize what's being thrown at, what's being offered, and what is being discussed? Because I don't want to leave this room just in principle. I do want to have some agreements in place.
Precisely, and I was actually just about to come in when she posed the direct question to you. However, just to put it in place, so many proposals have been put forward on the table. We had the issue on the exclusivity clause when it comes to the voice editing technology that has been raised by Alicel, Mr. J. And from your side, you were raising the issue on, they've also raised the issue on the revenue from the licensing. And more or less, it appears like we are really merging the two when it comes to generating more revenue and solving it all. Predominantly, there was also the issue on the ads on the platform to improve more revenue. Again, I feel that it's all based almost on the same platform. However, in light with that, I believe if that is satisfactory to you, maybe you'd love to respond to the issue that has been put on the table when it comes to the revenue from the licensing with regards to the growth of revenue agenda.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. But one thing I do want to miss out is that currently we are taking a tremendous effort to update the app with monetization, these recommendations. It's not something that we weren't open to before, but we want to make sure that we can have that. And the idea of advertisements, I think, something that we can brainstorm on, because I do recognize that perhaps if targeted ads do increase revenue for WeSell, is something that we're open to doing. What we could do in that idea is not just make it targeted ads, but the idea of a pop-up, maybe. And this will go hand in hand to what I'm going to elaborate upon. But before I go ahead, are we all on the same page? Can I probably elaborate on this?
Sure.
Thank you. The question about the idea of a pop-up and how it goes hand in hand with target ads is that I think right now, WeSell wants to expand. And how do we rather make this expansion? I think firstly is that we can increase targeted ads. What we could possibly do is make this in terms of the influencer collaboration. We have a lot of markets to capture, especially emerging countries like in Brazil, like in Sao Paulo itself. What we're rather thinking is the idea increasing targeted ads, and where we can help you with that is making these local influencers, so we can have local partnerships in these pop-up of a target for the targeted user. How does that sound to you? But before I go ahead, Kevin, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, actually, and I think that's a wonderful idea and something we'd, again, discuss before coming here today. But I must say, Jay, you seem like someone who's familiar with the law. You use the word exclusivity clause. So I think perhaps we're all rubbing off on each other over the past few mediation sessions. But yes, we will prefer exclusivity clause, and perhaps in kind of, I understand mediations and negotiations are all about give and take. So since you are giving us exclusive rights to build our business, I think what Karmash is suggesting is we build on what Ticker had initially done. The experience that Ticker offered were perhaps an iota of what could truly be achieved if we kind of went deep into the roots of every economy or every area that we perhaps wanted to reach out to. And how we hope to do that with Karl Marsh's idea is essentially to focus on local influencers, local brands, local businesses, give out recommendations, services, the whole 9-star thing, right? And we will also understand that Ali Saleh has expertise in customer service and so on and so forth. So we see this as a solution, not just from our end, but a solution that can perhaps have a lot of collaborative spirit to it because it brings your expertise and our expertise right down to the middle ground. And that is essentially what will happen because it will offset the income that you might lose out on perhaps not being exclusive. I mean, being exclusive with us. But Karmash, I think that's about it.
I just want to know, Jay, how does that sound? Targeted ads, but with influencers.
Mr. Mediator, could we maybe quickly summarize what Ross just said?
Precisely,
Yeah,
precisely. I think so many direct questions are being thrown on the table. Like you have done, please, if you feel that you have not gotten anything or you have missed anything in the course of the mediation, please, that's why I'm here, to summarize it all up. And I'll go ahead and do it. From this side, they've raised the issue on updating Whistle to allow services from the other side, in light of you giving them the exclusive rights to your technology on the voice editing technology, on the AI voice editing technology. And they've also raised an interesting point when it comes to the pop-up, something to do with the pop-up. I believe that is where we were at. And the whole idea about ads and driving of the platform. So maybe if you'd love to respond to that.
Thank you very much. I think the idea with pop-ups focusing on local brands and local influencers is really interesting, and I appreciate you being open to introducing more advertisement on the platform to enhance WeSell's performance. We ourselves have actually come up with a couple of ideas regarding the ad aspect. For example, because we heard in the past that you were concerned that users wouldn't like too many ads. And I get that. I mean, it's annoying sometimes, but we still got to sell stuff here. So 2 aspects that we thought of. Maybe you would want to introduce them, or?
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. There was one idea, and that may tackle your interest for cost effectiveness very efficiently. There is AI available that is able to organically increase the revenues of targeted ads by enhancing the quality of the targeted ads. So probably we wouldn't even have to quantify the ads, but to increase it via AI. And this would maybe mean adding more financial investments to WeSell and the ads strategy. And the second one would be an ad-free experience for Prime users. Could you imagine maybe setting up a Prime account that is totally ad-free and adds a monthly subscription fee, free shipping, opportunity for specialized sales, and increased prominency in the I'm sorry.
A lot of technical aspects. I relate, to be honest.
Special access and stuff like that. What would you think about such a model? Is that a possibility to you?
Perhaps before you can respond to that, Mr. Kamash, so many brilliant ideas have been put on the table, and I know I encouraged you all to bring all these brilliant ideas. But I really would love for us to be up to speed. And in light of the fact that we only have 25 minutes remaining, roughly about 25 minutes remaining, just to put it into perspective, kindly allow me to just scribble it up quickly. Because we are tasked with a situation where we have so many ideas, but you're not getting to wind them up. There's the issue of the pop-up. Sorry, just ideas. There's the proposal on the AI video editing. Sorry, that's video editing. There was the issue on updating WeSell for the services. And finally, there was something regarding ad-free experience, which has just come up. Oh, sorry.
And
Among, of course, other free shipping and
yeah,
things
that
in
would
that line.
maybe just to put one more, because there was a lot of AI thrown around. I know it's confusing.
Yeah.
One more proposal was to have an AI-driven version of targeted ads that would enhance the quality of the ads we're currently already putting, or WeSell is already putting out.
Okay. This is what we have on the table, guys.
Excellent.
So, how do we solve it all up?
Mr. Taylor, I do think what we've agreed upon, just to make sure on the same page, that we are okay with going ahead with the update as long as that exclusivity clause is going to be maintained.
I think for me, that is a whole package of how we can ensure growth. But with a lot of the ideas I'm up there, I think we could go ahead with introducing the tool with an exclusivity clause if we have both the updates and we increase the amount of ads and the quality of the ads we have. Would it be all right for you? Because I feel like that would really ensure that WeSell's performance gets boosted.
I feel like I'm hearing a lot of things, a lot of asks. I do have a board to answer to when it comes to all these offers, but I think we are okay to the idea of targeted ads, increasing this volume. At a point in time, it doesn't become too hanky-panky for the users. Kevin, can you rather elaborate on the legal aspect of this?
I'm so sorry, it looks like you had something to respond.
Just a question. What would you need from us so you would feel comfortable with moving forward in that direction?
Right. So as I mentioned earlier, it takes a tremendous amount of effort in updating this. But I feel like, as I said, it can only work with the quid pro quo. We are open to the idea of monetizing recommendations because something that you offered, and also the idea of an AI tool. So we have monetizing recommendations, we have this AI tool, and the update rather encompasses this. Could you rather dissect this when we look at, because I do think there's a lot of variables being thrown at, Kevin?
So now to kind of go into what the legal insight of it might be. I'm so sorry if I interrupted you, because it is a client-driven process after all, as the mediator keeps reminding me to keep my mouth closed as much as I can. But I must have a little bit of a reality check here, because you guys have a lot of AI-driven devices. Like, are you sure you don't have Elon Musk working for you at some point? Because there's quite a bit of AI. The initial AI tool you suggested is wonderful. But when you mentioned the second AI tool, which talks about the ads and all of that, my concern is, do you have access to such an AI? Is it an in-house built AI? Have you tested it? And beyond that, we've had a lot of concerns generally about how AI targeted ads have been a lot problematic in terms of how they process data in itself. And given the bad press we already have, we have to make sure that if AI is processing data and making ads, they have to be excellent and foolproof. So I'd just like to know where you stand on how developed this AI is.
Yes, I can clarify on that. And also, if we have Elon Musk in our house, he more wants to put those on hold, but we want to push it forward. There is two different AIs. The one is developed by a team at the moment. It's not ready yet. And the other one is the AI of the ad improvement, so the targeted ads. That is external.
So perhaps if I may clarify, you've said that one is still under configuration and the other one is already set. So which of the two is already set?
The already developed
Yeah.
one is the targeted ads one, and that is external. And the internal one that is in development at the moment is the voice experience
Perhaps
AI.
that gives you some clarity, Mr. Kamash?
Actually, I'm going to take this one for Karmash, because that does give us clarity, but also a little bit of concern. So what you did tell me is you have two AI devices, one in development and one is external. So nothing is in-house. So we don't know how much it's tested or what the guarantees are. Clearly, you have something to say on this front that would perhaps reassure Karmash and myself. So please.
Thank you so much. Yes, so the one we're kind of before the breakthrough, that's developed in-house from our team. Thank God Elon Musk is not on that team. But that is in-house and we're in control over that process. The other AI program is not something so totally new. That's is already out there. It's just a program that enhances the performance of targeted ads. Does that address your concern?
Okay, there were a lot of things that have been said. would it be okay if we could just take a break for like a short break for 3 minutes? I could confer with my counsel on how do we rather go about these offers.
Of course, yeah.
While you're on the break, just rest assured I won't be conversing with them at all. I'll be so far away from them.
Mr. Taylor, how much time do we have left as well?
We do have 19 minutes left.
Okay.
So I'll make a break 2 minutes.
Yeah, cool. I think it's something that we have to push for is the idea of exclusivity. And I feel like they want the update of monetizing recommendations, and they want the idea of targeted ads and the services. So I feel like we're going not just in circles, but I don't think we have to know what we're going to push for one thing at a time. What do you think, Evan?
So I completely agree with you on this. In fact, I think like we've been using this term about give and take and quid pro quo, but it seems that we're going in circles. So perhaps we should break it down. And I think the kind of conversation we had regarding the AI devices they have, there seems to be perhaps a miscommunication or lack of clarity between them. So I'm not sure whether this AI is fully fledged. So I think this would be a good time and place for us to suggest the AI that we built in-house with reference to how we would monetize further the discussion we had regarding dynamic pricing. So I think this would be a wonderful time for you to perhaps bring that in.
Yeah, to be honest, I wanted to call a caucus, but I do think that they were just throwing offers at us, and I felt quite overwhelmed. So I just thought this would be like taking a step back and assessing on what we have on our table. I think the AI tool is a great idea, but I do think we have to maintain that to cost effective. I think what's more important to us is the idea of revenue sharing. So what we could perhaps do is that say we're open to the idea, but I'm afraid we can't agree to it unless we receive the exclusivity. Rather talk about in terms of revenue sharing, because I do think that's more important.
Kamash, you're the boss, buddy, but I completely see where you're coming from, and that seems like a viable plan. So perhaps what we should do in terms of strategy and focusing as to where this mediation would go is have one last discussion. Perhaps we can get in principle agreement at least. If not, let's park the issue. Let's move to the revenue sharing, because that is essentially the main point of contention over the last 4 or 5 mediation sessions. I think if we're able to settle on that, we can settle on almost anything else. So I think this is the ideal way that I would go about it. But then again, you're the one driving this car.
I think it's great. I think what we could do forward is that, I mean, it would have been great to have a caucus, but we do have a time crunch. Is that firstly, agree in principle, because we're open to the idea of updates, but we're not sure to open to the idea of using AI in targeted ads. I feel that's going a lot. Let's hear them when we say we're open to this idea, but it's only because we understand how important the idea of exclusivity is, and perhaps flesh out the idea of revenue sharing.
I completely agree with you. So let's develop on revenue growth and the AI tools in a bit. Let's focus on the growth. I mean, the revenue sharing in itself.
Yeah, and I do think our 3 minutes has passed. Yeah.
On time.
Thank you for the breather. Now, as we move on, perhaps you'd love to kick us off, Mr. Kamash.
So, Jay, there were a lot of offers, a lot of excellent ones that we had just brainstormed together. But I do think we're missing the priority in our table is in terms of revenue sharing. So what we could do is that we really want exclusivity, and we understand you really want the idea of an update and this idea of having an AI tool for targeted ads. Perhaps could we just place this on parking for now? It's not to say we're not open to it. I do believe there's a lot more information that we need from each other rather flesh out. Could we talk about the idea of revenue sharing? How does that sound to you?
If you feel like you need more information to still make that decision, please feel free to tell us what exactly you would need from our side, and we're willing to provide that. And maybe to add on what I heard earlier, I had the feeling that you kind of saw this as a one gives one and the other gives one. And I don't want that kind of feeling to develop, because I feel it's not you against us, but it's the two of us making sure we sell grows. So if there's anything you would need to kind of come to that solution, or if there's something additional that you need, feel free to point that out to us. But I do feel like we are moving in the right direction. So considering the time, I would be comfortable to move to the next aspect. Is it all right?
I would suggest the same thing, yes.
Sure. I
Mr.
believe
Taylor, it seems like we have more homework to do.
more homework, yeah, precisely. And I think I will sum it up when it comes to the long run, when we will be summing it all up. Just a little rough scratch of your homework, but I believe we can, if it is agreeable to the responding party, if we allow the requesting party now to kick us off on the revenue sharing issue. If that is okay?
Works just fine. And I think I'm going to kick off the revenue sharing discussion because as the numbers stand right now, keeping in mind that Trigger is still part of the deal, it's 50, 40, 10. 50 for BGLAM, 40 for Ali Saleh, and 10 for Ticker. And it's going to get a little number heavy, but I'm sure, Dr. South, you'll keep up just with me. You want to grab a pen real quick? Man's got a calculator.
Maybe
That
could
may
we?
help me even more.
Maybe we could also ask the mediator while you present those numbers to kind of put them up there. I think that would really help me to have an overview of what's happening.
Definitely. Maths was one of my most favorite subjects. So I am happy to kindly assist.
No wonder you didn't become a doctor. But do you mind if I get started with the numbers? Perfect. So Ticker is willing to sell the 10% revenue share they have for a price of $400 million Dragon dollars. So we do some quick math there. That comes down to 1% for $40 million Dragon dollars. So Kamash has a number in mind, and which I will let him introduce in a second.
Perhaps, Kevin, you could just write that on the board, that 1% is 40 million. Yeah.
Perfect. So Kamash, do you want to perhaps go right ahead and tell them the number we have in mind in terms of acquiring the shares in itself?
I think in terms of numbers, we do have a certain idea on what we want to acquire of Ticker, because we do not want, in this baby that we have brought over, for another party to come and take those shares. We do believe it will be helpful for us and you if we can use these shares. And we do believe we want to have the idea of 6.25% of these shares, and that roughly translates to, Kevin?
250 million Dragon dollars. So we understand that there is a substantive investment required because 400 million Dragon dollars is a huge sum for us to pay at this point in time. But rather than looking for other people to buy these shares, we would always like to keep it in-house, like he said. We would like it for the baby to grow within the ambit of the parent security. So I'm so sorry, you want to say something? Okay. So when we acquire 6.24%, that will leave the remaining percent, which we would hope that you would acquire. And this will also put less financial burden on your side of the table because we will be paying the largest sum of the 400 million. So you will only have to put out 150 million. Dr. South, I see you're going at the numbers. Trust me, I wouldn't lie to you this late in the journey.
So maybe to react to that, I think the whole Ticker event was really interesting turn of events, and I really hear your need for having control over WeSale and not wanting to give that control away to a third party, and I totally share that concern. That's why we actually are as much committed to re-buying or getting those shares of Ticketer back again, so we have control over our baby again. So that is certainly interesting. Maybe could I give it over to you for those numbers that were proposed?
The numbers are correct as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Then I think because it is quite interesting, we have quite similar budget proven by our board, and we would be willing to cover the remaining $150 million Dragon dollars, which would then result in the share of 3.75% for us for the shares. I think this is the easiest buy-in that I've ever experienced.
Well,
What do you think about that?
I think that sounds fantastic, considering we're still having our baby in the reins of her family. I think then possibly we can move ahead and get back to the idea of how we grow this revenue. But before we just head back to that, Kevin, could you possibly elaborate on how this totally looks like in terms of revenue sharing for Alicel A and Visa and BGLAM?
I will do right away. So, Dr. South, let's get our numbers up again. So, your initial proposal, which I mean the amount you had before we just decided on this, was 40%. With an additional 3.75, that goes to 43.75% of the revenue sharing. where the primary or the original split that we had was 50 with an additional 6.25, which brings it up to 56.25. And I didn't know, I realized I sound like a game show host, but these are legitimate numbers. And it is truly interesting that we were able to match our numbers. It seems like our boards have stopped communicating with others and have now started communicating with each other. So it's definitely a sign of the right direction. But focusing on what Karmash said, perhaps now that we have the revenue split down and set in stone, we can move back to how to grow this revenue, because now we're the only two people splitting this money. Does that sound okay?
All in all, that sounds interesting, and thank you so much, Mr. Mediator, for kind of putting the numbers up there. I think it does help a lot. This is the current situation, and we would 100% be all right with moving forward in that direction. However, there is one more aspect to the revenue sharing split. If we are to introduce the experience update regarding the whole services that we would introduce, there would also be the introduction of our tool. I heard you earlier how big of a part it also is from your side to bring that tool, bring that update in again, and I do appreciate it. For us as well, it is a really big step, so we talked about that. One aspect that would be important for us, because we feel like each side brings a lot in there to the partnership, is that when it comes to the revenue stream income of the service experience sector, from those revenues, we are proposing a split of the revenue of 50-50. Because we feel like that would show both the efforts each side has put in and would represent a fair share. So to summarize, the general revenue income would be what we have up there, and the revenue that comes in from the experience sector of WeSell would amount to 50-50 split. What do you think about that?
I think that sounds something that we're open to, but I'm perhaps confused on why we're talking about revenue split as something not agreed upon. I think we can perhaps come back to this revenue split when we talk about the idea of growth revenue, but considering that we haven't categorically agreed to the idea of an update, because I do hear some offers that you had offered in regarding to AI. Kevin, is there anything that you'd like to add on to this?
So I do hear you in terms of how, I'm so sorry, do you want to say something, Swift?
Oh, yes, time is really not on our side. We only have around 9 minutes remaining. So perhaps if you do that quickly, and then I'll give you all 2 minutes each to just sum it all up.
Can I just give one response, and then we can perhaps go to our closing remarks?
Okay.
Can I clarify that for him so you have all the information you need? Would that be right?
Sure.
We know that, of course, we haven't agreed to the updates yet, but this is just information to give you the full picture of what we would need to move forward. So just that you know that we, of course, know we haven't agreed on the updates yet.
Moving forward, as in that you would not be investing the amount of 3.75%? Because I'm confused, because if this investment to 3.75% occurs, we do have a split of 56.25 to 43.75. Kevin?
So I think essentially what she was suggesting, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you want to quantify the revenue from the experiences separately, and you want to split that evenly, but this is agreed upon. A head nod will say yes. Yes, perfect. So with regard to the revenue split from the experiences in itself, there is a concern that I have here, because we have worked in the sales industry for quite a bit, and I have represented him on many matters. So how would you completely quantify the exact amount of sales and revenue generated solely from the experiences? Because customers who pander to the experience part of it may also be using other facets of WeSell. So how do we create that dichotomy between the customer user base and divide the revenue further?
I personally feel that that wouldn't be too hard to do. I mean, we see on our spreadsheets what products were bought. Was the product a physical product on WeSell, or was the product experience or a service product? And I think that would be for our departments quite easy to divide those aspects.
I do think so too, yes.
Perhaps to just build up, if I may just say one thing.
10 seconds, please.
Sure. If I just build up on that, perhaps we can use AI in developing this. And that is a solution, of course, we do not have the time. We can take back as homework and brainstorm upon. How does that sound to you, Jay? Using AI in those Excel sheets that you had mentioned.
Pardon? I didn't hear you, the last word.
What Excel sheets?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I get. Yeah. Why? Let's think about it. I'll see what my department thinks about that. That could be maybe something to also address your need for cost efficiency at WeSell. So let's think about it.
Sure. At this point in time, I had given you 2 minutes each for your closing remarks. Unfortunately, I'll have to take that away. But I'm donating 10 seconds to everyone so that we can all have a quick round of closing remarks. Okay, make it 20 seconds. Perhaps if you'd want to go.
I just want to say one thing. I know there's not a lot of time left, but Rome was not built in a day either.
Thank you. Quickly.
I just want to say once again, danke, asante, and hopefully the next time we meet is not over a mediation table. As much as I will miss you, it can be perhaps over the teams no longer sitting, the parties no longer sitting around for mediation, but just a conference call in good faith and work can start happening again. But thank you again for joining us here, and thank you, Swift, for wonderfully mediating this process.
Thank you. Mr. J.
Thank you very much for your commitment to growing WeSell. I know there's a lot of options on the table. I think we'll look at them. But if we actually do decide on what's on the table today, I think we can ensure WeSell strives again.
Dr. K.
I do want to thank you too for your commitment, for your options, for your creativity, for your openness. And I would say we have made substantial progress again, even though we haven't completed our agenda completely. As we have not yet solidified the objective criteria, but maybe we can meet at another time again and hash out the rest of the details.
Oh yes, we are meeting again because you're not going anywhere. I'm not one to start an assignment and not finish it up. So you do have a lot of work to do. At least, even before we go deeper, just to clarify on where we started on the point where we were discussing about the issue of the influencer. And it is worth noting that we thumbed that entirely and we agreed on a committee which was going to be discussed upon later. We moved on to the issue of the growing of the revenue and revenue sharing, which in one way or the other found a way to converge in a manner. And we have reached an agreement of retaining a share of 56.25% in favor of Big Lam to 43.75% in favor of Alicel. Of course, that is after the sale of the Tika shares. And finally, we have also agreed to do a lot of assignment. Beginning with one, the pop-up, the AIs, do dig deeper into that. Updating WeSell platform in regards to the WeSell service, to the services, and then an ad-free experience and the coupon that would come with that. Perhaps, Mr. J?
Could you maybe ask you to also put up on there that there's the option or the idea of revenue from the experience 50-50 split?
Oh, yeah, sure. I was just coming to that.
Oh, pardon me.
Thank you.
A lot of homework.
I never liked homework.
Oh, sorry. A 50-50 split when it comes to the new revenue from the AI platform. So, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, you're not going to miss me. You're going to see me again tomorrow, same time as agreed. And all I can do is thank you for trusting the process. When you came here the first day, I told you to just be patient. And again, I'm asking you to be patient. Please don't be tired. We're just moving forward in the process. Notably, we can all attest to the agreements that we have made. Like I had promised you, I would bring you some of a representation of how our mediation has gone really. We started from a red zone, as you can see. We drifted to an orange zone, and finally to a gray zone when we got to agree. Again, today we are on a somewhat orange zone. That is why we'll be here again tomorrow to complete the assignment. But other than that, all I can do is thank you for choosing International Institute of Conflict Prevention and Resolution. At CPR, we pride in less conflict and more purpose. And as I can see, you are getting to a situation where you're getting to work together, and that is really objectivity, and that is purposefulness, and that is what we pride in here at CPR. Now, before you go, I heard you mention something about the wine, which you heard earlier without me. So today, you're not going to leave me. Make sure that you wait for me to finish everything up, and then we can all share the glass of wine, if it is that agreeable. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Oh, too good.
I think we'll all agree that was remarkable. What a show. Before we say too much, though, we're still in a live round, which means the judges are going to take some time to do their scores. Typically, everyone else leaves, but we can't ask 230 people to leave the room. It's much easier to ask 5. So I want to just ask our 5 final round judges, Alan Waxman, Denise Shaw, Eduardo Perazza, Liana Gorberg Valdetaro, and Rafael Alves. They will be escorted to the judges' room to deliberate. Everyone else will stay here for about 10 minutes or so, right? We're going to do a quick break on the live stream, so those of you who are joining us on YouTube, just hang tight. About 10 minutes, we'll open the live stream again, okay? So thank you for watching. We're still in the round, so hang tight for about 10 minutes. Thank you. Round looks like, although we don't typically have it on the stage in this manner. But we wanted to make sure that all of our viewing audience at home can clearly see the judges' faces and the teams and everyone at one time. So, again, I'm going to just fade away and pretend that I'm not here, and we'll go into the judges' feedback portion. Just to give you a little preview, after the judges complete giving their feedback to the teams, we'll take another short break while we tabulate the scores, and we'll go into the closing ceremony, which will include the award ceremony as well. Okay, so stay tuned. You might see the live broadcast paused again for a short time, but then rejoin us, please, in a few moments after that. Okay, so I'm going to pass. As I said, I just want to announce the 5 final round judges. The presiding judge is Alan Waxman, President and CEO of CPR, which is the International Institute for Conflict Prevention and Resolution, based in New York City, but it's an international organization. Puts on events like this and also many conferences. We have members from around the world. We hope that you will join the CPR Institute and be one of those members. We also have a dispute resolution services side to help mediate and arbitrate cases. So please join us on our website to learn more, cpradr.org. And I'm going to pass to Alan in 1 minute, but I also want to announce his other colleagues. We have next to him is Liana Gorberg Valdetaro, and I hope if I'm saying that right. Next to Liana is Denise Shaw. After Denise, we have Rafael Alves, and we have Eduardo Perazza. So these are our final round judges who are going to now provide their feedback. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Kanar. And before you fade out of the scene, Kanar stood up here before and thanked everybody, but there is one person above all who needs to be thanked for pulling this competition together. And that is my colleague and teammate, Kanar Nahikian. Please join me in thanking her. Wow, we just, I won't say it was 12 angry men in the room. There's only 5 of us, and we're not all men, but it was quite a difficult task. I want to ask my fellow judges before I'm just going to give abbreviated feedback here on behalf of the team. To not only, you heard their names, but just give a little bit about their backgrounds and how they have come to mediation. Let me start with Eduardo.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure being here. I'm Eduardo Perazza. I'm actually a lawyer, not a mediator. I've been working with mediation for, with mediation in the last 4 or 5 years, but I've been in touch with it for as much as 12 or 13 years when I first did my ADR studies in London at Queen Mary and at UCL. So I'm very glad to be here. It was a very good discussion today. It was a very good final. Well, Alan will give more details of our feedback, but thank you to you all. Yeah, reaching the final is great, and you guys did a great work as well, so congratulations on that already.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Rafael Alves. I'm the co-chair of the Brazil Advisory Board and member of the CPR Council. My job at CPR is to support CPR's activities here in Brazil and in the region. So if you decide to pursue this path and embrace mediation and ADR, please consider joining CPR. And whoever wants to discuss further CPR's activities in the region, please contact me. I'll be happy to help and assist you in that.
I'm Denise Shaw, and my practice is based in New York. And one of the things that really draws me to these competitions is that I went to law school at a time when there really was not a curriculum that was based on mediation, arbitration, or negotiation. And most of my experience with those areas, I've learned not in the classroom. And what has particular significance for me is to really have the opportunity to see students who have really studied mediation and arbitration and negotiation and are so well versed and so well prepared in terms of the methodology, the science, the psychology. I mean, all aspects of what it is that we do, and really bring such value to the profession. And as far as I'm concerned, it is truly a privilege to really participate with you and to support your interests and to share expertise and to really see all the creative ways in which you apply all of your knowledge.
I'm Liana. As Canar already mentioned, I'm Brazilian from Rio de Janeiro, not São Paulo, and I am a dispute resolution lawyer and a mediator, a certified mediator. My role is to solve the client's problem. So mediation come into my legal practice, I would say, as a toolkit. If it's needed an injunction, okay, we go forward. If it's needed arbitration and mediation. So as a lawyer, I try to understand the client's problem and find out which path will be the best. So seeing you students in a competition like this, learning a lot of different skills, as Denise mentioned, we didn't have in university years ago, it makes you the new generation of the law and the legal advocacy much better. So it's a privilege and an honor to be not only here, but in a lot of competitions. I thank you all for being here, international teams for coming a long trip, a long way, and you did a great job.
That is for sure. So let me just say, you have a sense of the wealth of experience here. I myself, before I joined CPR, spent half my career as an outside counsel, doing a lot in the dispute area and then the resolution area, and half of my career as an in-house general counsel. Mediation has always been a miracle in my experience. I can't tell you the number of times I confronted disputes. We went to see a mediator. I thought there was no way anything would get resolved, and lo and behold, by the end of the mediation session, it was resolved. The miracle of mediation is reflected by the work all 5 of you evidenced in this competition. There are criteria that we are asked as judges to apply in assessing the performances of the negotiators and the mediator. As you know, in this round, we were not assessing the performance of the mediator, but let us all agree what a terrific job he did in keeping this on track. In falling into the background when he needed to, in asserting himself when it was necessary, and in helping move the parties forward. And these were a talkative group, weren't they? You were dealing with a very talkative group of lawyers and clients here, and helping keep that talk productive and on track. So Lennox, I hope you feel very good. Congratulations again on winning the mediation part of the competition. And congrats, I saw so many wonderful mediators. That miracle lives on in this competition. Now, in assessing the clients and the attorneys, we are asked to look at 4 different criteria. Communication skills, how well is the listening? People think of communication as the talking. How well is the active listening, as well as the articulation of interests, of positions, of framing your issues? Second, how collaborative are the parties with each other, lawyer and client, as well as across the table? How effective is the use of the negotiation skills, identifying options, finding common ground, moving things toward agreement and resolution? And then finally, of course, this being about teams, how effective is the teamwork that takes place amongst each of the teams? You all, and I hope the audience joins me in this, watching you up there, it was like an opportunity to reflect upon each of these skills that all of you evidenced in different ways. I'm just going to take a few minutes to reflect upon how each of you captured a different sense of that skill set. I want to start with Lucas, who was a very active listener. I think you saw early in the competition, early in this negotiation, when he pointed out, wait a minute, I'm hearing something different from the client, from the lawyer. Which is it? Let's get a clarification. That is active listening. That could be missed. If you're not listening carefully, that could be missed. And that was an important point to bring out that clarification. So Lucas, congratulations to you for demonstrating that skill. On the collaboration front, I want to call out Kasav, who really constantly, by the way, one of the nicest people. I would love to negotiate with you. You always so generous, always so thoughtful, always so patient. You really evidenced time and again giving an opportunity for your counterparty to be able to say what they needed to say, to make sure they had an opportunity to say what they needed to say, to clarify that in a way that could help you and them come to some decisions together, as you all did in a number of instances here. You actually reached resolution on a number of issues. That's a wonderful thing. We should never diminish the significance of reaching a resolution for where you started at such difficult places before this began. The effective use of negotiation skills, I want to use Teresa as an example here. First of all, I said this to our group. This is like something you should say often in a marriage. What would you need from us? Did you remember when she said that? She looked across the table. What would you need from us to help you work through this issue? What a beautiful way of negotiating, of helping somebody else come. And also, you kept offering options to move your team's interests forward. It was a very effective use of negotiation skills and coming to agreed upon criteria, common ground between the parties that could help you frame your solution. So that was really wonderful. Thank you. And then finally, on teamwork, I want to call out Kevin, who we had an opportunity to see the way you worked with your client, the way you assisted your client. And during the break, that was very insightful for us as judges. You get to be the fly on the wall to see what's taking place between lawyer and client. And I must say that I've been a lawyer for many years. I would like to hire you to, yes, you really wanted to help your client there think through the issues. You gave very solid counsel about maybe we'll start here, we'll drop back, we'll move forward with solution, we can put some things in the parking lot. So again, each of you really demonstrated these key criteria to keep in mind when you're in the midst of a negotiation, any negotiation, on your communication, which includes listening, on your collaboration, how you work across the aisle together, on effective negotiation tactics, and on your teamwork. And so, as far as we're concerned, all four of you are winners here in the competition. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. That was fantastic feedback, and I'm really glad that we got to hear a little bit from each judge about their backgrounds as well, because I think that's so important when you're getting the feedback to understand the breadth and knowledge of experience that the judges are bringing to the table. So I want to thank the judges and our final teams. We're going to, as I said before, we're going to take a small break to change the stage a little bit for the closing ceremony, and then we're going to reopen the live stream in just a few moments. So for those of you who are here in the auditorium, please don't go far, okay? It's just going to be like a 5-minute quick change, okay? Thank you very much. Back, everyone. Please take your seats. Those of you who are with us in person, please take your seats. We're going to start with the closing ceremony of the 2023 CPR International Mediation Competition. This is the part we've been waiting for. So we're going to start by hearing just a few words from some of the participants who made this event possible. I'm going to start with Alan Waxman. As I already introduced him before, he's the CEO and president of CPR, and I'd like to give him this time to say a few more words.
Thank you. So, Gunnar says this is the moment we've been waiting for, but I must say, it's not the moment I've been waiting for. It only seems like we just began. It's gone so quickly, and I'm so sad that we're already at the end. Looking out at your faces, and I've seen so many of you, you saw me wandering through the room, maybe wondering, who is that guy? What's he doing in my room?
So sorry, but for the internet, we need
Okay. So they told me I have to begin all over. No. Just the way you each have invested yourselves in this competition, in the exercises, in learning the facts, and playing the roles that you played, in really taking on the feedback that you had. I am just truly amazed at all of you as the participants in the competition for what you demonstrated over these last few days. So let me start by congratulating each and every one of you for being a participant in the 2023 International Mediation Competition from CPR. This is really inspiring to us to want to do this, to want to expand upon this as we go forward. So I am very grateful because you like that match. I also want to thank our judges. We can't do the competition without our judges, and you come from near and from far, and really commit yourself. These wonderful salaries that we're paying the judges to be here, tremendous equity, stock options, and so forth that they get. This is really a pro bono effort from the judges who are here. So please join me in thanking them. I know we're going to hear from Insper in a moment here, but you know, I was just telling somebody that Kanar and I had the chance to come here in November, and we walked into this room, and we envisioned this moment. the finals being on this stage. And it sent a little tingle through us, the notion that there would be a finals here, and lo and behold, this is what we just did. So to Insper and the incredible staff who've been running around the last several days and helping us out, that's just been terrific. And of course, again, to Kanar, who has been working on this. You've seen the work she's been doing over the last several days, but this has been her commitment over the last several months to really pull this together, along with our organizing committee, along with the folks who made up the problem. I want to know where these ideas come from. We're going to have a discussion of where do these ideas come from in your head, the problems writing committee. You've all been tremendous, and this is truly the instance where without each and every one of you, this just would not have been able to be pulled off. So I hope you've really gotten so much out of this that you take away as you leave Insper, as you maybe have a chance, some of you hopefully, to stay around in Sao Paulo or Brazil or elsewhere, that you take away from this that spirit of collaboration and the miracle that is mediation. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we just heard that we had very gracious hosts from Insper. Would like to hear from the lead organizer on their behalf, Caio Rodriguez, please.
I watched in awe and wonder in the past 3 days, brilliant students coming from everywhere, tackling a problem that was rich, hard, judges coming from everywhere as well, and we learned so much from you. You were thinking that we're hosting something. We're not hosting anything. We're actually learning. That's the actual catch. That's the opportunity that we had from you. So I'd like to thank CPR, I'd like to thank Kanar, Alan, and everybody from the opportunity to learn. Second, I'd like to apologize for any inconvenience that you had. Actually, I had to apply some mediation skills this afternoon precisely to try to mediate one of construction works that we had underground and try them to stop while we were actually doing this. The only thing I want to say is I'd like to see more of it here if possible. So I submit my request to CPR officially that we keep doing this as much as possible. Thank you.
Okay, so next I want to introduce Diego Falek. He is the 2023 IMC co-chair, and his firm has been a generous sponsor for the cocktail party that those of us who are in person, I'm sorry for those online, but those in person will be enjoying the cocktail party. So I want to introduce next to Diego.
Thank you, Knar. Well, I organized my short speech here in the same way you probably organize some of your mediation sessions, past, present, and future. So talking about the past, I guess, like Alan says, we visited Insper, we envisioned this, we've done so much work, and it's so great to remember everything we did to come here. And I guess all of you teams, reading the case, swearing at Roberto, we're all complimenting him today, but when you're ready, it's like, well, there's so much to develop, to study. All the long hours that you had meeting, and then all the time you spend inviting people to think through the confidentials and run role-play simulations, all the hours you take, I mean, all the dreams about being the champion and everything. So, and coming here and going through the rounds and all the emotions and everything you've been through. So in the past, it's been a very nice journey. I mean, you're probably enjoying this feeling. As to the future, I mentioned that this is a life-changing experience, and it really is. For myself, I've been doing this for 15 years. I was a coach. I was a coach of FGV Law School, a winning coach, champion of the world once, won a few times. With that, I developed training skills as a coach that I use today in my firm. And we have a firm with 170 people working in the ground, dealing with difficult and emotional situations. And I guess that the methodology of training that I use today that is so effective came from coaching teams. It's really, really incredible. I met so many people on this journey. I know, I've been judging, mediating and stuff. I got a little bit of people recognizing me. I mediated the final once in a big competition, and then I got to be recognized by Who's Who Legal the next day. So it's been really adding a lot to my life, this competition. And I've seen so many students that have been through the competition that today are partners at the law firm, that went to do LLMs in the best schools in the world. There are people that has a lot of, they have a lot of prestige, and most of the Moody's I know that have grown up, they are really people that are different in the places they work. I've seen them around the globe. I see people that come back to their school and continue training other students and growing and making contact. So, I mean, the future is bright. That's my point. This is really adds an element, gives you a weapon for you to move on. So, I mean, it's yours. And about the present, I think we should all take a moment to, congratulate yourselves, to breathe, to celebrate all this and being here. That's why we decided, Eduardo and I, to sponsor the cocktail as a moment for all of you to simply enjoy the presence and celebrate everything that you've done here. Congratulations again.
Okay, thank you, Diego. And as Diego mentioned, we have the co-sponsor of the cocktail party from Machado Mayer. I just want to mention also, I said earlier that CPR Institute is a member organization. It's a think tank. We do a lot of work with our members. And so it's important to note that Diego's firm is a member. And also I want to point out that Machado Mayer is the newest CPR member. So welcome to the family.
Thank you, Kinar, and thank you, Alain, for having us here. And Diego, because he reached me out like 1 month ago. Let's co-sponsor this cocktail. I said, yeah, let's go, let's do it. And I was already for a while looking whether we should be members of CPR. So this is Diego's fault that we are here, and we are very grateful for that. Yeah, and thank you also, Rafael Alves, who co-chairs the BAB, the Brazilian Advisory Board of CPR. I've been to one meeting so far, but I see there's lots that we can do. So hopefully we'll assist you with all we have. I'm the head of department of the dispute resolution practice in Machado Mayer Advogados. We are a firm with 50 years on the road. Our department have 200 lawyers and students, something around that, of which around 80 or 90 are practicing ADR on a daily basis. We are in a few big projects in Brazil that we've designed some systems to solve disputes along with Diego, mostly his ideas, and we just put that in practice from the legal side of that. And it's really great to be somewhere like this competition and being here on stage, being a judge in the final, because I've learned a lot with you guys in these 3 days we are together here, with the students, with the other judges, with Kinar and Alain. Being with you guys was really great, and I'm really glad that everything went through very smoothly, that we are in the final day, that everything you guys planned and thought that what it would be like this final day, it came to happen like you guys wanted. And I just want to thank you all for all the learning I had these days, and ask you guys to enjoy the cocktail later after we have the prize given to all the best today. So thank you so much for this, and hope to see you guys later so that we can speak a bit as well. Okay? Thanks.
And I also would like to announce Liana Gorberg-Valdetaro. She was one of the final round judges, but she's also the vice president of ICFML, who is a sponsor, and they're going to be giving a very generous gift to some of the winners for the top negotiating team and the top mediating team. So I'd like to introduce Liana.
Thank you, Knar. I am here on behalf of ICFML. It's a kind of strange letters, but is an institution, is the Portuguese speaking assessment program for the IMI mediators certification, because we believe in quality and education. As you know, language, the words are very powerful in mediation. So we believe that the words and the most of the certifications we have are in English. So the words and the language speaking wouldn't be a barrier for quality, for education, and for certification. That's why the ICFML institution is the Portuguese speaking assessment program in Brazil, in Portugal, and in Africa. That's why we are here, because we believe in quality and continuous education. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you to our speakers tonight, to our sponsors, to our judges. Sometimes they were all one and the same. They played a lot of roles. And I know that they won't mind that we go to the next part, which you've been patiently waiting for, which is the award portion of the ceremony. So thank you to our speakers. Please feel free to get comfortable again. This might take a little while. So I'm going to switch to this microphone. I want to call up one of our main members of the organizing committee. The students know that the problems were really interesting this year. I hope that we'll be sharing the confidential and problem. As CPR has always had a tradition of sharing this information. We are a learning institution as well. We want to encourage dispute resolution in all of the future generations. So these problems will be available for people to learn from in future years. Oh, sorry. So may I call up Roberto Custer, please, to talk about the problem team a little bit and the work that they did to create these very challenging but very interesting problems. Roberto, please.
Hello. I don't know if you met me already. I'm Roberto. Did you like the problem? Did you enjoy it? Yeah? And the Last Confidential as well. Did you like the title of the Last Confidential? Swipe up for resolution? Yeah, it's like swipe up. Yeah. I took 3 days to think of that. The main thing that I must say here as the problem writing team representative, that you should not thank me. You should thank me as well, of course. I like that. But we have 5 members of the problem team that could not be here today, just me. So a huge round of applause. I believe you are watching over there. First to Amanda Mesomo. Not that long because it's gonna be late, so just like 5 seconds or so. Second one, Álvaro Campos. Yeah, just kidding. Third one, Kate Gonzalez. And the last one, Kyle Thomason. I mean, amazing team, amazing team. Now we are going to transition, make a smooth transition to the prizes. Franco has a couple of words to say, but I have to choose something. Yesterday and today, we're going to have the happiest and saddest moments, the fairest and the most unjust moment of the competition, and what's or not, the best and worst moment of the competition. I could see 75% of the teams yesterday being very, very sad because they didn't went through the semifinals. And that's terrible. I mean, you're probably going through the stages of grief. So when we announced denial, of course, last night with some alcohol, maybe anger with the judges, come on, anger with the organizing committee, with the problem committee. And I hope you get to the last stage until the next competition, that is acceptance. We have a competition that's based on different judges, on different, how can I put it? Different waves. Do you remember surfing, the first day that I told you? So the mediation session, we have 90 minutes of surfing. And as you know, surfing does not depend only on your performance. It depends on the wind, on the weather, on the waves that you get. So sometimes you do not get the best wind, the best wave, the best weather. Maybe the mediator is that good, and then you cannot talk that much. Maybe he's that bad and it ruins the mediation. Maybe the confidential was not that good. And sometimes you just don't pass through the semifinals. And if we have had quarterfinals, would you pass? You're going to know that. You're going to receive which position that you went. Were you third as mediator? Last? Fifth as negotiation? Last? Does that mean anything? I mean, the judges only have a 90-minute spectrum of what you are, not the whole you. The coaches know you better. Your colleagues know you better. I saw a couple of you crying yesterday, and it's terrible. But I mean, if you cry, maybe the Katy Perry song was "Doesn't Kill Make You Stronger." Sorry, Taylor Swift, for that. I mean, the main thing is about acceptance. So you were given this information. You're not going to the semifinals. What you're going to do with that? How you keep getting better and better. So prepare again and again and again, and learn more, and give yourself out there everything that you got, and you did that in this competition. So I do congratulate you all. So, lastly but not least, I hope to see you all in the next year's competition as competitors, as coaches. I've been a coach myself for 6 years. I won 1, and I lost 8. What does that mean? Am I bad? Are you bad? I mean, what I've learned from this experience is that persistence is the key. So we have around 50 competitors at FALEC. They won, they lost. We don't know. We know that they keep persisting until getting better and better. So with all that said, I need to congratulate you all for coming here and for giving you all. Now, I call Franco to thank the volunteers.
So good afternoon. I know you are anxious. I am too. To know the winners, the award winners. But I wanted to make a very important, I think it's the one of the last round of applauses before the announcements, but it's a very important one, which is for the volunteers that helped us during the competition, the room supervisors who were there and put in the time and effort to that. So first of all, I would like to ask a special group of students that are here, which are the Insper students, to stand up, please. And I will call each one of their names, and then I will invite you to join me in applauding them. So we have Pedro Blandi, Laís Abud, Marina Ângulo, Giovana Vilena, and João Pedro Serafim. So, I hate to tell you this, but these guys, they will be in the next competition, I guess, and they are very good, very smart and hardworking people, so keep an watch on them, okay? So thank you very much. for your effort and for helping us. I would also want to thank some two special ladies that helped a lot us, that they switched hats when needed, so they are like an arm for the organizing committee during the organization period, which is Fernanda, Lana, and Karin Emmerich. So a round of applause to them. Both of them are for FALEC, and they do a wonderful job as a mediator and facilitator at FALEC, as FALECers always do. So now it's the time. First of all, so just to be very clear on how we are going to do this, first we will announce the third prize, the third place. So then the second prize, second award, so second place, and then the first prize, first award, first place. Good. We are going to call the teams. So it's going to be like this. The teams come from that side, and we'll handle the award there. We take a picture there, and that's about it. Okay? Do we have an agreement here? No, just kidding. So I will call Bruno, which is a member of the organizing committee, to announce the winner of the teamwork category. Please, Bruno, come here. And I will also ask for the other committee members to come here also, so we are all here to do the handling of the prizes.
Okay, so just to review, when you get called, you come up the stairs from your right side, and we'll give you your award in the middle. You have a moment. Enjoy that moment. Soak it in. Don't rush it. To take your photo here with the photographer, and then you exit on your left, okay? And then we'll call the next. So, to Bruno. Thank you.
So, good afternoon. The time has come. So, in the third place for best teamwork, National Law University, Delhi. The second place for best teamwork goes to University of Vienna. And the winner award to best teamwork goes to Jindal Global Law School.
So now we're gonna have here the third place for the best counsel of the competition. That is Lucas Clevin of University of Vienna. Now you have the second place of the best council of the competition. And I will apologize if I wrong the pronunciation of the name, but it's Sashva Chandra of National Law University of Delhi. And now we have the special one, the first place of the best council competition. That is Kevin Jimmy of Jindal Global Law School.
So now let's move to best client. And also sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. So best client, third place, Margaret Turchinsky from American University, Washington College of Law. Second place, Kesav Navaladi Shankar, Jindal Global Law School. Now let's go to the first place. The best client is Teresa Sealer from University of Vienna.
Now we have the awards for the best written statement. And we have 3 teams on the third position. So the first third position is São Paulo Law School of Fundação Getúlio Vargas.
Just waiting to bloom. If you hop in the car and leave the doubt on the curb, we'll find it beautiful.
Now we have the second, all are third places, but the second, third place, so no order. And I will ask the teams to come from that side, so it's easier for the procedure here. So a little bit of an evaluative mediator sometimes. I'm just kidding. Third place, best written statement goes to Federal University of Paraná.
Original. Parabéns. Valeu. Parabéns. Parabéns. Valeu. The last third place, I mean, you're tied. Don't need to. National Law, University Delhi.
Now, let's go to the second place, and we only have one. The second place for best written statement is American University, Washington College of Law. Congratulations.
Now, for the best written statement. First place goes to Federal University of Espírito Santo.
Now for the category of Best Mediator, third place, João Miguel Rezende Oliveira, University of São Paulo. Second place goes to Antonia Voigt. This is no news. The best mediator, first place, Lennox Kiryanki, University of Nairobi.
Okay, our last category of prizes is the best negotiators. So for the award for third place, best negotiators goes to National Law University, Delhi. Second place for the best negotiators goes to University of Vienna. And the first place in Best Negotiators goes to Jindal Global Law School. Okay, so those were our 6 categories for the 2023 CPR International Mediation Competition. Before we welcome you to the closing ceremony cocktail party, I just want to remind all of the participants that don't leave before you check out. We thanked a lot of our volunteers here today. 2 other people who helped a lot were at the door. We had Natalia and Nubia, who were checking everyone in every day with a smile, and so they have another smile for you, a participation certificate For everyone who has participated, all 18 teams have a participation certificate waiting for you. So don't leave without that because it's important. Even if you didn't place in one of these categories, you did a lot of work to get here and a lot of work while you were here. And we want to acknowledge that so you have a tangible certificate to show your efforts for being in this competition. And also the judges, we appreciate them as well. You also have a certificate waiting for you at the front, so thank you so much. Now Diego will welcome you to the cocktail.
Please join us in the cocktail just outside here. What?
This is one very important thing.
Little thing.
It's just because we need to. I mean, this.
We call on the stage Liana Valdetaro-Goldberg, representing the ICFML, to deliver the prizes for the champions. Little detail.
Just a quick word. As I mentioned before, the ICFML believes in education. So we award the team, the first place negotiation team, and the first place the mediator for a summer program, which will take place in person in Portugal, in Porto, but also hybrid online. So it's an intense, like a summer program, mediation and negotiation program, and we just got a voucher for this program. So please, the Jindal team, please come.
The mediator for Jindal University, you also got the car, so please come here. And congratulations.
Now, I just call on stage, please, the Nairobi team on behalf of Lennox, the best mediators, and the whole Nairobi team, please. Welcome.
And now we can go to the cocktail. Thank you again.